Welcome back to Talking Dragon Age, the show where I talk about Dragon Age. This episode is about werewolves. There are several strains of lycanthropy throughout Thedas, most notably in Ferelden. I want to start with Zathrian and his strain. For revenge on humans, Zathrian summoned a spirit and bound it to the body of a wolf using what is heavily implied to be blood magic. This dichotomy between the beautiful and nurturing spirit and the savage, violent wolf reflected the nature of the Brisilian forest itself. In fact, the Lady of the Forest, as she came to be known, was actually already part of the Brisilian forest before Zathrian's vengeance. As the Grand Oak explains, the spirit of the forest vanished when the werewolves showed up. This is because Zathrian put her in the body of a wolf. Following this union, Zathrian bade the wolf hunt down the humans that had inflicted horrible cruelty upon his children. Their transformation into werewolves appears to have been an unforeseen consequence. Based on dialogue, codex entries, and the world of Thedas, Zathrian wanted the humans hunted down so they would feel the pain he felt. But some humans survived and were twisted into werewolves as a result of the magic in the wolf. They too became savage, mirroring how Zathrian thought of them. The specific mechanics of how and why this worked aren't explicitly explained. My theory is it has to do with the nature of spirits in the Fade and Zathrian's view of the humans. While their transformation into werewolves was unforeseen, Zathrian really didn't care because they were still suffering in pain. If the curse is ended in Origins, the werewolves transform back into humans, but they keep the eyes they had as werewolves. I don't understand why. The curse ended. The spirit and Witherfang and Zathrian are gone. Why would the rest of their bodies go back to being human, with the only exception being their eyes? At least, I assume that's the only exception. We don't see them naked. Do they have more nipples now or something? Does this imply the curse isn't fully ended? I don't understand. Now, Ferelden has a long history with werewolves. They struggled against them in what some may consider wars. This has been heavily fictionalized in folklore, but some history with them definitely did happen. The world of Thedas says Zathrian was probably around 300 years old. I thought the game said he was a lot older than that, but replaying it, I couldn't find anything. But Ferelden conflict with werewolves dates back way further than 300 years. So Zathrian's curse is most likely not the same curse that Dane struggled with. We also have these blighted werewolves in the Black Marsh, which means they're probably not the same as the curse we ended in the Brisilian forest. They could be, with the blight interfering with the curse somehow, but I lean towards that not being the case. Actually, Dane is an interesting character. He has many tales associated with him, many of them highly fictionalized if they happened at all. However, most intriguingly is the tale that he led a campaign against the werewolves in the Black Age. But he was also the father of Hafter, who definitely existed. But Hafter united the Alamari, or more specifically the Clane, around the time of the Second Blight, about 400 years before his father Dane allegedly led a campaign against the werewolves. The obvious solution to this is that there are two different Danes, but the Codex entries and World of Thedas talk like they're the same person. The second obvious solution is Dane was attached to the werewolf campaigns in the Black Age because of his existing ties to werewolves from before the Second Blight. Sort of like how Flemeth got attached to other Ferelden legends she wasn't actually involved with. That's far more likely. Looking at the different mentions of Dane, World of Thedas Volume 1, page 93, World of Thedas Volume 2, page 32, and various codex entries, Dane led a different campaign against werewolves before all the stuff with his son Hafter. Werewolves reappeared around the turn of the Towers Age to the Black Age, initiating another campaign against the wolves to their apparent extinction. The Codex entry, like lots of things in Origins, appears to simply be mistaken, confusing the two different werewolf campaigns. Or Dane was attached to the second werewolf crisis because of his involvement in the first. That seems to me like Robin Hood being credited for the American Revolution. These are very far apart time periods. but it's been known to happen both in Dragon Age and in reality. Robin Hood American Revolution would make a good book, actually. So if anyone wants to put together a proper timeline for werewolf stuff in Ferelden, please send it to me. You can post it in my Discord server, link in the description, or send me an email, which you can find under the About tab on my channel. So, Ferelden folklore speaks of several different kinds of lycanthropy, though it's unclear how truthful any of these are. Some say they are always wolves, others say they can transform at will. Some yet say the transformation is involuntary. It's entirely possible that all these different kinds did exist at one point or another. The Codex entry says as much, but we all know how reliable the Origins Codex is when it tried to tell us that mages approaching unprocessed lyrium is invariably fatal, and even non-mages suffer crippling health problems. Legends say lycanthropy was created when demons possessed wolves and bit humans, much the same as we know Zathrian's curse worked. The most recent sighting of werewolves was in Tevinter Nights, and that worked a little differently. Spoiler alert for the story Hunger. 2 Grey Wardens came across a town that was being attacked by werewolves every night. They tracked the source to a dude that was cast out of the village, wandering the wilderness and starving, when a demon of hunger possessed him and he became a werewolf. Those he infected were then under his command somehow. After the Alpha's death, the other werewolves were freed from their curse. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's the really short version. This seems to me more like a Wendigo, but I can see Thedas applying the same name of werewolf to it, because they don't have the term Wendigo. So that's honestly about all there is to say on werewolves. There are probably more strains of it that we don't know about, and I really hope we see new kinds. As I've said before on this show, it kinda takes away the fun of werewolves for me if the transformation is permanent. So once again, if any of you want to help put together a timeline for werewolf stuff, that would be fantastic. Maybe I'll make a follow-up episode so we can clear up a lot of confusion. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to comment and like, and remember, Tala Nadas.